Coding for surgical cases can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Today I have a sample operative report that we can go through together step by step, and I can show you how to dissect the operative report. Hey there, I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator, and on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. So let's take a look at this operative report. So this is a surgical operative report for a patient that has a facial fracture. It's not too bad, a page and a half. And what we do is we usually start in our surgical operative reports. They have the pre-op and post-operative diagnosis, procedure, anesthesia, fluid, blood loss, any hardware. If this is a service that wouldn't involve hardware, you wouldn't see that caption on it usually. Specimens, any complications, condition of the patient, and then the indications for the procedure, kind of the why are we doing this, and then what happened. So this is the why, what happened. When we look at our pre-op and post-op diagnoses, we're going to code based off of our post-operative diagnosis. We also have to look if there was a specimen. So say maybe this was a patient who was coming in for something like a cholecystectomy. They're removing the gallbladder. We want to check the path report for that specimen because that's going to have our final diagnosis on it, that it's going to say definitively what was wrong with that gallbladder. Was it gallstones? Was it cholecystitis? What was going on with that specimen? There may also be things in the post-operative diagnoses, though, as well that we want to include. Now, of course, if we have something here like stomach pain and then the specimen comes back that it's stomach cancer, then we would code the stomach cancer, but that pain would be a sign or a symptom. We wouldn't include any signs or symptoms of that definitive diagnosis. So in this one, the pre-op and post-op diagnoses are the same because they probably did an x-ray on this patient already ahead of time to determine what kind of fractures this patient had. So this patient had bilateral open mandibular fracture, open left angle, and open symphysis fracture. And as we do the diagnosis coding on this, I'll break this part down a little bit more. Now here's our procedure heading. We can take a look at this and use it as a good jumping off point for how to code this service, but everything that's in there has to be validated in this description of this service. So if it says up here that they did a pleural biopsy, but you go down here and there's no description stating that they biopsied the pleura, then you can't code for it. It has to be validated in the actual description saying that they did that procedure. Sometimes there may be additional things in the body of the operative report that you can code for additionally. Sometimes they'll list things in these procedures that are bundled. Lysis of adhesions is a big one, or explorations. Oftentimes those are bundled into a more major procedure that was performed. So they might be included as an inherent part of a larger procedure that was done. One of the things I like to do if there's going to be multiple codes, so say maybe the provider said I did a lysis of adhesions and a debridement and some sort of surgery as well, and I'm like, I think those first couple are probably going to bundle in. Code them out and check them in the CCI checker because sometimes they might be included, sometimes they're not. Although the longer you work in a certain specialty with these types of surgical procedures, you'll start getting that feel for what codes are bundled in and can start maybe making yourself some reference sheets and so forth to speed up your coding process. Here's our anesthesia, general anesthesia via nasal endotracheal intubation. We have 2 liters of crystalloid fluids, estimated blood loss was minimal, no hardware, no specimens, no complications. The patient was extubated to PACU in good condition. So the indications for procedure, sometimes these will have additional diagnoses in them, so it's good to check these out because sometimes they will have maybe a comorbid condition that we also want to capture. Let's take a look at this one. Patient is a 17-year-old female who has 2 days status post an altercation in which she sustained multiple blows to the face. She was worked up on Friday night, 2 days earlier at hospital, was given palliative treatment and discharged and instructed to follow up as an outpatient with an oral surgeon and given a phone number to call. Patient was worked up initially. On initial exam, it was noted that she had a left V3 paresthesia. On her initial exam, it doesn't say that she still has it. She had a gross malocclusion. On the facial CT and panoramic x-ray, it was noted to be a displaced left angle fracture and non-displaced symphysis fracture, and that looks to be what we kind of have here as well. Alternatives were discussed with the patient, and it was determined she would benefit from being taken to the operating room to undergo general anesthesia to have a closed reduction of her fractures. Risks, benefits, and alternatives of treatment were thoroughly discussed with the patient, and informed consent was obtained with the patient's mother. Now, one thing I will notice is while some of this doesn't pertain to coding, these are things that clinically need to be in the surgical report and are just good clinical things to know. So even though we personally might not as coders use it for abstraction purposes, it is very important that they're in there. So description of procedure: patient was taken to the operating room number 4 at the hospital and laid in the supine position on the operating room table. Monitor was attached. And general anesthesia was induced with IV anesthetics and maintained with nasal endotracheal intubation and inhalation anesthetics. Patient was prepped and draped in the usual oromaxillary surgery fashion. Surgeon approached the operating table in sterile fashion. Approximately 10 milliliters of 2% lidocaine with 1 to 100,000 epinephrine was injected into the oral vestibule in a nerve block fashion. A moistened Raytex sponge was placed in the posterior oropharynx, and the mouth was prepped with Paradex mouth rinse, scrubbed with a toothbrush. Paradex was evacuated with a Yanker suction. Eric arch bars were adapted to the maxilla from the first molar to the contralateral first molar and secured with 24 gauge surgical steel wire. So they're wiring things here. So that might be an important thing here. They're doing surgical steel wires on the teeth, and they're doing these Eric arch bars. Patient was then manipulated up, and the maximum intercuspation and noted to be reproducible. The throat was packed and then removed. Patient was remanipulated, so they're manipulating up to the maximum intercuspation and secured with interdental elastics. At this point in time, the procedure was determined to be over. Patient was extubated and transferred to the PACU in good condition. One of the first things I kind of want to draw your attention to here is let's take a look at this operative report. So we have here an open fracture, open fracture, open fracture. But what type of fracture repair did we do? Closed. So this type of fracture doesn't always correlate with the type of treatment. You can have an open fracture, but a closed treatment. So don't get tripped up on that. These fractures are going to be coded as open fractures. The treatment, the CPT code, is going to be coded as a closed reduction of the mandible fracture. So the mandible is the lower part of your jaw. So also this MMF, so this is why it's kind of important to know some of your medical terminology here, your abbreviations. And of course, we can go in and we can Google this. If you go into Google and say, what is MMF? It will tell you that MMF is maxillomandibular fixation, meaning that they are basically what they did in the description. They are wiring these things back together. So the fractures were open, but this was a closed reduction. And you can tell it was a closed reduction because the provider never said that he did an incision into the patient, right? There was nothing in here saying that he incised into the patient's mandible and was treating the fracture that way. It was all closed. There was no opening of the patient that was in this description of the procedure. So that is consistent with what was done here, this closed reduction of the mandible fracture with MMF. If this was a case I was looking at in an exam, I would probably just go ahead and look at this procedure, code this, see if that's one of the options, and then just kind of quick survey and verify in the body of the operative report, because on an exam, time is of the essence and you want to quickly go through things as fast as you can. When you're actually coding, of course, you want to keep up with your productivity, but you still have to read through the operative report to make sure that you're not missing anything. So we have here, definitely through what we've seen here, they did the manipulation, they were doing surgical steel wire, arch bar. So this was validated in here. We definitely did the closed reduction of the mandibular fracture with the MMF. So how do we code for this? You could go on your CPT index and probably look up fracture. I personally, when I'm doing surgical coding, like to go through the chapter headings. So I would go right to my section that says surgery musculoskeletal. And I'm going to look for, maxilla. So maxilla is in the skull. And we go head to toe usually in our surgeries, meaning that the codes that you're going to see first are going to be at the top of your body and then downward. So the codes are going to go from head to neck to back to flank. So we're going from top to bottom of your body in the order for the CPT codes. So here's our head, fracture and other dislocations, 2130 through 21497, and that starts at page 149. So again, we're looking for a closed reduction with fixation of the mandible. So we have here nasal fractures, nasal septal, nasal ethmoid, nasoethmoid, nasomaxillary. We're getting closer. So maxillary is the upper jaw. Cranial, malar, open treatment of orbital floor. Those are tough fractures. Fracture of orbit, maxillary, craniofacial separation. We're doing close treatment of mandible or maxillary alveolar ridge fracture. Nope. We have, this isn't open, so we don't want that. We want a closed treatment because we had open fractures but closed treatment. So let's get down a little closer here. And we've got closed treatment of mandibular fracture without manipulation and with manipulation, but that doesn't encompass the fixations that we did. Here we have closed treatment of mandibular fracture with interdental fixation, and you can see that we did the interdental fixation here. That's all these parts that we talked about where we're doing the surgical steel wire on the posterior teeth, right? So that's the code that we're looking for here for our procedure, which is 21453. I actually have a mark there from a different case I was coding a couple weeks ago where this was actually the patient's outcome. Now, if this is something you're doing in Practicode or in your studies or anything basically but taking the exam and you want to kind of double check what you're doing, one thing I used to do when I wasn't 100% certain is I would just type the CPT code into my encoder program, 21453, and look at the lay description and see if what they're describing in the lay description matches what was in my operative report. The provider treats a fracture of the mandible or lower jaw to repair damage caused by blunt force trauma to the face. He uses a device that connects the teeth to secure the fractures in place while it heals. And then it even gives you some information about terminology and additional information. Kind of reiterates, it looks like here closed fracture doesn't automatically require closed treatment. But let's get back to those diagnoses. So we're going to switch from our CPT to our ICD-10-CM book. By the way, if you're enjoying this type of content, I would highly encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get alerts when I post new episodes. We have a bilateral open mandible fracture, open left angle, and open symphysis fracture. So the left angle and symphysis fracture are also types of mandible fractures. We have bilateral, open mandible, open left angle, and open symphysis fracture. So if we go here to bilateral mandible fracture, mandible. So here we have our mandible. There is our just general mandible code if we don't have a more definitive diagnosis. And then, actually, let me zoom you guys in here so we can see a little bit better. We have angle of jaw, and then we also have down here the other one, the symphysis. So let's see, we have the bilateral mandible, we have the angle, and we have the symphysis. So let's just jot these three down here. Mandible SO2609. 9. And then we have SO2.65. And then we have our SO266. That way you can see these are all right in the same area. So instead of flipping back and forth, we'll just validate these three, get the additional characters that are needed as we look at them. So you can tell here, if you look at the angle, for example, there's this little green check mark in it, and that means that there are going to be additional characters that we need. Now, as I'm kind of looking at this again, it says bilateral open mandible fracture, open left angle, and open symphysis. And I was assuming that these were different fractures. But if you kind of look again at this indication for procedures, look, it says here on the x-ray, it was noted to be a displaced left angle fracture and non-displaced symphysis fracture. So those are probably the bilateral, the left angle, and the symphysis. Not that there's a bilateral and an open left angle and a symphysis. So let's cross that one out. Whoop. And we just need the additional characters and to verify these. So SO265, fracture of angle of mandible, and this was the left angle, it said. So fracture angle of left mandible, SO652. And then we still need an additional character on that, our 7th character extension. So for our SO2 category, we need either A for initial closed, B for open initial, and then we have our subsequence. That was this, and it wasn't a sequela, so it wasn't an initial encounter for a closed fracture or initial encounter for an open fracture. So we had closed treatment, but this was an open fracture. So if you recall, this is open fracture. So we're going to use our B initial encounter for open fracture. So SO2-652B. And then we have SO2-66 fracture of symphysis of mandible, and we need our 7th character for that. But we have to use our placeholders because we don't have anything in the 6th character spot here. So we're going to have to do our SO2-66 placeholder X to hold that 6th spot because there's no additional character that we have indicated here for that, but we need to use our 7th character to indicate that this was an open fracture because again it says here open symphysis fracture. So this would be our full case that we've coded out here. We've got the 21453 for our CPT code with ICD-10-CM codes SO2-652 and SO2-66XB for our ICD-10 codes. So I hope you found this type of case study very, very helpful. I know I've gotten a lot of requests to go through, code a whole case, do the diagnoses, do the CPT as well. If you want me to do more of these case studies, definitely let me know in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next episode. And until then, just keep on coding on.